Jim Terry needed one more day. He's generally all things said, he's not happy at all. He said, one more day, the last 200 I didn't care about. I guess so, I was so far. Well, 300 more days.
Well, we finished Thanksgiving weekend. Our crops are not all eaten. It's just, they didn't feel no sun.
Yeah. So very light then.
And then we got hail that week too.
Oh, yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah. Did you ever see a picture of that?
Well, I've spoken.
The hell?
That storm coming across, it was taken from the garage.
I did, I was in Golden Coffee that night, and we were looking across it, and I'm not gonna get a hell of a rain up there. Very rare to get hail late.
Well, and very rare to get hail. It's the first time in 30 years.
Oh, is that right?
Did you see the latest one after the election?
On my list.
And what caused it was actually conservative.
These are all of the ones that were there.
Oh, yeah, I mean, everyone knew what Doug's committee was, he'd be as crazy as his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably.
But it's gonna be a liberal thing. That's a scary part.
Mile wide by. Somebody drew it, took this picture.
Oh, okay, yeah. Live.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, that's.
Are you all ready, Mary Ann?
Oh, I'm on
All right. I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start off. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor Long, right off the bat.
Right off the bat, move to pass the agenda as presented.
All right. I'd like to, there's one addition that Mr. Martinson has just brought to our attention. It would be a closed session under section 18, disclosure harmful to individual or public safety.
Section 18?
Oh.
So that'll be number 17. Any other changes? Yes.
I would like to include under new business 8.2, FCSS conference, November 25th to the 29th.
Where's it at?
What are the dates, Counselor?
November 25th
no.
to the 29th of November.
The November 25th to the 29th.
Is it time sensitive? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, can it wait till the next meeting, or does it have to be now?
I had an email today and asked for a reply
Okay.
ASAP.
Okay, so it's time sensitive. Okay.
Correct answer was yes.
Wow.
Okay, any other changes? We've got those 2 changes. Okay, all in favor? It's carried. We have no scheduled delegations. Do we have a public delegation? Mr. Barger. Just for the sake of everybody on our video, if you could just give them your
Ross
name.
Berger, resident of Prairie.
And we'll get you to hit the mic there, just perfect.
Ross Berger, resident of Prairie, and owner of CCTV systems in town there. I've run a couple complaints in the past up, and nothing seems to become of them. And I'm looking for the file numbers and information regarding Mr. Martinson and building and some other things where he's used his power and influence, I believe, to discredit me and keep secret vital information pertaining to a lawsuit that I have against him for the assault. And your bylaw officer doesn't seem to have any time to give me any file numbers or anything. And when I did get the assault forms from the RCMP, it looks like their drug money enhanced drug money was diverted from Mr. Martinson's case there with Mr. Gordon Lilly, where Martinson pled guilty to an assault charge. He got a very, very lenient fine, I believe it was, wasn't it?
I don't know, that's your impression.
You weren't fined? So you sold a house on 55th Avenue, said you put it in an auction, and nobody gets back to me on it. Okay. So I have a complaint here for that. And I wish somebody would look into it, because I'm paying $1,200 for a one-bedroom tax house that, actually, you guys were gonna sit down, but because I was gonna record it, you guys backed out or something, and Mr. Martinson sent a letter to me regarding that, didn't you?
Okay, so what are we, I'm lost here. What are
I'm trying to get some information here from file numbers of your bylaw department showing up regarding this house, okay, and this assault charge, and why nobody else would get off on a case like this,
And so
what he got.
So what you're after is some bylaw numbers.
Some
on-
file numbers regarding the complaints that I put towards
Okay,
Mr. Martinson.
okay.
I'd also like the dog complaint file. Actually, you can say anything from 2014 to 2017. And before that, when it was a year before that, wasn't it, Mr. Martinson?
You want every single?
No, just the ones that I made.
Oh,
Just the ones I made. They never got back to me. They wouldn't come and talk to me or anything.
Okay,
Okay, and then regarding the check for being a member at large, where Mr. Martinson was asking and claiming that it was a policy to have my checking information. I guess it was for the police because roughly the same time it was apparently I was being investigated as a drug dealer in town here. So it's just quite strange how everything just sort of fit in there, and Mr. Martinson has the strings for a lot of these things. But is anybody going to look into how this house was purchased?
No, I'm not.
we don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, when you first were elected here, okay, I was bringing this up. You don't remember any of that?
I do remember you coming in with some issues.
Okay, well, none of them have ever been looked after. Okay?
Okay, well, I do remember at the time when you had some issues, we were gonna sit down and work through them, and then you never showed up for the meetings.
That's not true. Okay, I wanted to record it. Okay, I wanted to record it, and Mr. Martinson sends me a letter saying that because such and such is called off. Okay, so if you want to sit down and show me the actual work permits or the development permits that got my house to raise $200 a year in taxes up to $1,200, and his place never moved a bit.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you've got an issue with the tax assessment, is that your?
At the time I did, yeah, but it was just pushed away. I'll look after that, don't worry, we're gonna do this.
But did you talk to the assessor about that? That's the normal protocol for?
Yes, yes I did.
Okay.
And nothing happened, okay? Now, at your second election, you stood up and you said, oh, at least we can, every 5 years we can assess a place. Right?
Okay, I'm not sure what.
Well, every 5 years you can actually have the,
Oh, yeah, the assessor can reassess a place, and that is, I know that is what our assessor is doing, trying to get to all of the places every 5 years to reassess them.
okay, so every place has been reassessed every 5 years.
Well, I believe from our previous treasurer had indicated that they were not every 5 years, they're trying to get on to that schedule, but I don't know if they have kept to that schedule at this point in time.
Okay, okay. So that's the taxes of going up $200 a year and nobody looks into it, right? That's how that works out. So I can get these file numbers?
Well, you know what, I don't know for sure, we'll have to talk and find out. And I know our peace officer is not here right now, I know he's on holidays, but we can look into it and we'll get back to you.
When? Because this is what I heard for years, okay? And we lost a building, the taxpayers lost a house. The taxpayers paid to confiscate this house. The taxpayers paid to have the auction guy come in and do it. But it was never advertised, as Mr. Martinson says.
Okay, that's a
Do you-
different issue again, right? Like I'm
It's
not,
the same house. How did he get the house? He says he put it into an auction.
If you had done your homework right, I purchased the house from a private individual.
That's a lot, but that's okay.
and.
I want these to go in here, please.
Okay,
Okay, because he's holding checks back with, like I say, I don't know who to give these to because they're just gonna disappear. Where do they go?
what have you got?
They're complaint forms.
Okay, well, you can give them to.
Do I get a file number? Do I get a copy? How does it work, Mr. Martinson?
We'll give you a file number on them
When?
tomorrow when the girls are in.
Okay, so I have to return back to the office here and submit
No,
them.
give them to me all the time.
You would be the last person I'd give anything to. Okay?
Your point of order? It's over 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, they're,
Yeah, I gotta shut this down though.
For you.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
Thank you, people.
all right. And, all right, so, yeah, we'll follow up on that, on the file numbers, and if you want to bring those in tomorrow, that'll be good. Okay, moving on then to our Public Works report. Can I get a motion on that one? Councillor Long.
2 minute vote.
Yeah.
Council received October 19th Public Works report as presented for information.
All right. Vernon, you got anything to
Just in fact that we did finish the other water station on Railway Avenue. I think I mentioned that before in a previous meeting. I just spoke with the contractors that are left to do in front of the funeral home. Their base crew is going to be here tomorrow, hopefully the weather cooperates, but they're moving in tomorrow and paving should be done by Saturday.
Is that both streets?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's minor repairs that the base crew has to do, and what he told me today, or at 6 o'clock tonight, was that the paving crew was planning on being here Thursday, and all weather permitting, that they would be in and out in 2 days. And then the landscaping occurs. Other than that, the reservoir's full, we're ready for winter, we're getting winter equipment ready, and doing our furnace checks in all our buildings, and mobilizing, basically setting up for winter, Christmas lights.
All right. Any questions? Councillor Gilroy.
Just 2 quick questions. What kind of work needs to be done for the outside water bottle refill stations to be prepared for winter?
We shut them off and they're self-draining.
And they'll be shut off?
I think they are shut off now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other is, and this comes from not knowing the technology that well, in your report it talks about lowering 2 residential curb stops in driveways. Was that part of the paving or is that?
No, that's a request of the homeowner.
Okay, and
Yeah.
do we pay for that or do they?
We do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Stenhouse.
My questions are continuous cleaning of the recycling area?
Yep.
So is that just paper being blown around? or is
By the
that-
wind, and sometimes people don't put garbage out that isn't supposed to be there.
And working with the hospital contractor, Alberta Infrastructure, on the new hospital outstanding warranty list?
Yeah, there's a couple of areas out on the roads that the contractor, the hospital built, which is 39th and 38th Street. On the public portions, there are some issues with the curb and gutter, and we have been working with them to get those things resolved, as well as Alberta Infrastructure is involved in that as well.
Councillor Long.
Just a question, an observation, and it was brought to my attention by a taxpayer, and then I would have noticed it as well. The recycling center where we're putting our cardboard, and I've just gone through and put all my cardboard and different things in. The truck came by, picked up the garbage from Subway, and then went in and dumped the same recycling stuff in the back of his truck. In his garbage truck.
He shouldn't have been doing that, that's two separate companies.
So, I'm not sure.
It wasn't,
GFI.
yeah, it wasn't a dumpster that maybe was set over there from High Prairie Glass.
Possibly. It looked like, the blue bins, like or the
Recycling.
recycling bins rather, yeah.
I'll have to look into that, because if High Prairie Glass has got their dumpster over there, it can't be there, right?
Yeah.
So I'll look into that.
Okay.
Councillor Corley.
How's the lagoons coming?
We're having a meeting tomorrow,
Yeah.
and that's all I can say about that right now.
Did the other material come in?
It's supposed to be in, yeah. So
This is the capital project you're...
for the lagoon, yeah. We will be meeting with them and asking them what their intentions are. And the possibility, well, I can't say.
So it's not done and there's some issues as well.
Yes. That it hasn't been started.
Okay. All right. I had a couple of questions. One was the bottle refilling stations that were to go into the Sports Palace.
We've delivered the ones into the Sports Palace. I'm not sure where that stands.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been delivered there.
I saw one, but I didn't see the other one west. It was right beside us when we had a barbecue.
Yeah, no, I just wasn't sure if they were all in.
I don't know if the one in the Gordon Buchanan has been installed.
Is there one in the Sports
Yes.
Palace? Okay.
The one in the Gordon County.
Is it?
Oh, okay.
And I guess they've been installed.
They've both been
But
installed.
we did deliver them to the arenas
Okay.
for installation.
Because I put my hand under the sensor and the water went and it counted my hand.
That's 5, one for each digit?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing, I just was wondering if you had any update on the mold issue up in the Sports Palace and the new, getting that repaired?
That would be Brian. That's
Oh,
what
okay.
we asked.
Okay, we can wait till Brian can report on that one. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion to receive for information. All those in favor? Carried. Can we get a motion regarding the minutes of the October 8th meeting? Councillor Courtney.
The council approved the minutes from the October 8th, 2019 regular meeting of council as presented.
Councillor Gilroy.
There is an error in motion number 375/19. It's a letter to Health Minister and Dr. Verna Yu, President and CEO of AHS, not just to the Honorable Tyler Shandro.
Did you catch that change, Marion?
I'm just reading it, sorry.
Okay,
Who
can
are
you
the other
repeat that,
Sorry, Brian?
Brian, for her? Sure.
Number 37519, and it's a letter to the health minister and the Dr. Verna Yu, president and CEO of AHS. In fact, it also needs to be changed in the combined action list later on.
Councillor Stenhouse?
I draw your attention to 3.1 and 3.2. Nope, never mind. Excuse me,
Okay. You drew our attention to it. Yeah. Councillor Gilroy?
The other thing is, it would be actually business arising out of, but if we're gonna deal with that, I believe I'd like to know what would happen to the report from Chris Clay about the sound system.
It's in there. I read it.
Well, it was,
No,
that's
it's
an
in
action.
there,
item
but
coming
I
up.
wanna know
Yeah.
afterward if anything's been done on it. So,
Okay, action. I'll go again.
Well, if it's an action item, that'll be business arising out. Right now, we're just approving the minutes if they're accurate or if we need any changes.
Okay, well, 15.1,
Okay?
council call a special meeting on Thursday, October 21st. It should be Monday,
okay.
October 21st.
good move.
Good catch, yeah. You catch that one, Marion? Yep, good. Okay, any other ones? Seeing none, all those in favor
Of the amended one?
of the amended minutes, yeah. we
Because he
don't-
said as is, the motion hasn't been amended yet.
Oh,
He has to change the motion.
All right, so
that's true. We should have, do a friendly amendment to
Okay,
approve the minutes as amended
all right.
with the two amendments.
Words in my mouth. You got that, Marion?
Yes.
Do I have to say it? You got it, right? Got it.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Moving to our
Business
October
arising
15th organizational
This
minutes.
is arising from, would that be next?
That'll be next after this.
At the organization?
And then we cover minutes, any business arising from both minutes will be
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Okay? And Councillor Worley?
The council approved the minutes from the October 15th, 2019 organizational meeting as presented.
Any changes to those? Seeing none, all those in favor? Moving on to business arising from our minutes. Councillor Gilroy?
Just wondering, to be accountable to the delegation that Mr. Clegg came up with, he was talking about the sound system to do with the light up, and it's 221, where it said that the system the beautification committee uses is not adequate enough. Mr. Clegg has asked council and administration if they remembered any discussions regarding the sound system being installed in the civic square. I believe that would be, you'd like to know either if you remember it or we've done something about it.
We're checking the minutes from meetings and that to see if there's any
Approvals?
approvals or whatever. So when we find something, we'll bring it back to council.
Thank you.
I mean, the other thing that we could certainly look at is a portable system that's better, because I know even when we had like the Citizens Appreciation and we did the event at the barbecue, the sound system was less than spectacular. It might be worth,
Can I just mention, as a small help, that's the meeting Trish Long was at a delegation at. Might be easier to find them then, because she was here about a year or so ago addressing that. That's all.
All right. Any other business arising? Councillor Stenhouse, you had something that you wanted to bring up?
Yes, I do. No,
Oh,
isn't that a new business?
yeah, and new business, if there was something, some business arising out of these minutes.
Okay, so I was, at my last FCSS meeting.
No?
Okay, no.
Later on.
No, I don't have anything right now.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Gilroy.
And I have one thing out of the organizational meeting minutes. I hadn't thought about it till actually I went to one of the meetings that I was an alternate on. I think we need to, it's the community education or engagement, which CEC is what they label it as. So it would be, the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm not sure if it's a relevant committee anymore. And just trying to see the appointment on it. No, that's the hospital one, but this is I'm the alternate on
Community Education.
Community Education Committee, which I'll give you a read just
Well,
for sure.
let's just, because that's not really
But it
part
arises
of,
out.
it's not an agenda item for right now. What you want to do is see if this is a valuable meeting, and we should leave that for a different meeting. It's not business arising. So at our next agenda, put that forward as an agenda item, and we can review
Okay.
the value of it, and we can look at the terms of reference and can go from there. It's not coming out of that.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so moving on to new business, item 8.1. Get a motion here. Councillor Gilroy.
I'll make a motion that council approve the mayor or delegate to speak at the 2019 Winter Lighten.
Right. Any discussion on this one? Pretty straightforward, we've been doing it for years. Okay, seeing, I am able to go, just should be there. I'm planning on being it, so. All those in favor? Carried. So Chris, I gotta keep it up, what, under half an hour?
The colder it is, the shorter it should be.
What is?
But Mr. Long can't be the delegate for obvious reasons. He'll tell you why.
There's sort of a
He slurs the word.
Yeah, slurs.
There's a pause in my contact, yeah.
Okay. So, we have the motion, all those in favor? It's carried. Item 8.2, the new addition, we'll turn it over to Councillor Stenhouse. What's the motion here?
Whoa. 9.2 you mean?
No, she's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to make a motion?
No, she wanted new business.
Oh, it's right,
8.2.
okay, 8.2.
Yeah.
The
The
FCSS.
council approved Councillor Stenhouse or Rose, or both, to attend the FCSS conference held in Edmonton on November 25th to the 29th. Do you want any background information on that?
Yeah, I just want to make sure you got the motion.
I got the council approved Stenhouse or Rose to attend.
Or both.
Or both, okay.
The FCSS conference held in Edmonton, November 25th to the 29th.
I think you should say Councillor Stenhouse and, or approve both Councillor Rose and Stenhouse, because what you're doing, there's almost two motions there.
Oh,
One is
yeah.
one is another, and then one, so. Why don't you just say both Councillor Stenhouse and Councillor Rose, and then if we need an amendment after, we can change it. We're good with that?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
So would you like some background? Okay.
absolutely.
And just to let you know that FCSS has applied for a grant for us to attend this, and they've been approved for this grant up to $1,100, I believe it is. Just to let you know, they don't know
1,100 per person, 1,100 altogether?
together.
Any idea of the total price of this? And how long, well, you said it's the 25th to the 29th, it's a 4-day conference?
Yes, and no, I don't have a price on it. I don't have a price on it.
Sorry. Okay,
4 nights.
so it'd be 4 days, well, 4 or 5 days of travel and everything, and meals and mileage and hotels. Some of it might get covered for maybe the fee, the entry fee, or the conference fee, I should say.
Mhm.
Councillor Gilroy?
I'm just wondering, is it something, just wondering if you could check with FCSS since we are lacking a treasurer at the moment. If any of it can be actually also covered by any FCSS funds we possess. All I know is that, I know it's only been the last year or so that we've actually begun to think about one of these ones. But, I mean, I'm just trying to see if they can get a grant for it, maybe they can work some of it out of the money we already have, we can use as well.
Okay. My thoughts are, if you are a member of the committee and that's one of their conferences, you should be allowed to go. That's my thoughts, but I would support that. Any other thoughts on this? Councillor Corley?
I was going to say the very same thing, that if you're on the committee, you should be able to and almost expected to go.
Go ahead.
Could I maybe get back to you guys with an email on the exact price? Could we make the motion that we can go pending price?
It's going to be,
Councillor Long?
just looking at the duration of it, it's going to be an AUMA type of cost. So we know that it's going to be $1,000 or so to get you there and back, and then your time as well. So we're looking at $1,500 probably per person. I think that's my gut feeling. That's sort of what we do in the AUMA, right?
Yeah.
So I'm for it. I mean, yes, we would like to get the exact amount, but
Councillor Danaka?
I kind of need more information. It's not until the 22nd or whatever, till the 29th. I think if you can bring back more information to the next meeting, that would help me. Just you saying that they're having a conference and we should go, I can't support it without some, like, what's the purpose? What's the purpose of you going to this, is my question.
Okay, so I received an email and they said, we fell behind the ball and we should have put this on the agenda sooner. And we didn't, and they asked me to pick courses, and it was some of the courses that I picked. This is pending and we're approved. It's FCSS 101. It's learning about FCSS. And it is like a AUMA. I picked 4 different training courses through the registration, but we have to let them know if we will be attending or not, because again, like a conference, we're taking up a spot that somebody else is looking at. And I do apologize, it should have been on the agenda a while back.
And what are the courses that you chose?
Oh, I can't give you that answer right now. I'd have to go, because I just did it today, and I'd have to go back onto my computer to find out.
I know just from reading the FCSS report later in the agenda, they were talking about this is a sort of an annual conference and they're closing down all of the offices for the week and they're all going to it. So I think it's sort of their main conference expense that they would go to annually. That would be my assumption, just based on that they feel it's worthwhile, that they're closing the office and taking all of their workers for that period of time. But I don't know much more than that about the conference, that's all I know. Councillor Gilroy?
I know that they're going to do it. But I just find it interesting that we're supporting this when the library did the same thing. We criticized the library for sending so many people to their annual function. And so even though we did have people on that committee as well. I'm just trying to figure out what sort of strategy we have for this. I'd rather, if you're going to put that much money into it, I'd rather see, in a sense, that money put into a better emergency program that Councillor Stenhouse was talking about, where we will not have all this miscommunication that we had during another emergency, which we know will come. Because that is going to be probably more likely 2,000 a person, depending on who pays for the hotel too. So I'm just, I mean, if we were going to support it, we'll have to support it, but I'd rather see a better use of taxpayers' money the other way.
All right, we've all had a chance to speak on it. We have a motion to send the 2 members from that committee to the conference. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Moving on to finance, municipal support for the Lesser Slave Lake Watershed Council. Need a motion? Councillor Courtly?
The council received Lesser Slave Watershed Council request to budget $5,000 towards specific projects for the 2019 budget deliberations for information.